Secret societies have been shaping history from the shadows for centuries, and most of what you think you know about them is completely wrong. From groups that actually existed and wielded real power to elaborate hoaxes that fooled millions, the truth is far stranger than the conspiracy theories. Here's what's really going on behind the closed doors. The Illuminati is probably the most talked about secret society on the planet, blamed for everything from controlling world governments to hiding messages in pop music videos. But here's the twist. The real Illuminati lasted less than a decade. Founded in Bavaria in 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, a law professor who wanted to challenge the church's grip on society, the group promoted Enlightenment ideas like reason, secularism, and individual freedom. They held covert meetings, used secret codes, and recruited influential people across Europe. Sounds sinister, right? Except their actual goal was pretty straightforward. They wanted less religious oppression and more rational thinking in government. The Bavarian authorities didn't see it that way. Convinced the Illuminati was plotting revolution, they banned the society in 1785. 9 years of existence, then gone. Yet somehow, this defunct organization became the boogeyman of modern conspiracy theories, supposedly pulling strings behind every major world event. The gap between what the Illuminati actually was and what people believe it to be today is massive. One was a short-lived club of intellectuals. The other is a myth that refuses to die. Now let's talk about a secret society that's pure fiction but tricked half the world anyway. The Priory of Sion exploded into public consciousness through the Da Vinci Code, presented as an ancient brotherhood protecting the bloodline of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. Sounds like something out of medieval legend, which is exactly what Pierre Plantard wanted you to think when he invented the whole thing in 1956. Plantard was a Frenchman obsessed with mysticism who fabricated documents called the Dossiers Secrets, claiming the priory dated back to the 11th century. These papers suggested the society safeguarded descendants of a divine bloodline who were rightful rulers of France. Problem is, investigators later proved the documents were complete forgeries. Plantard admitted under oath that he made it all up. The Priory of Sion never protected any sacred bloodline, because the Priory of Sion never actually existed as anything more than Plantard's fantasy. Yet the story was so compelling that millions still believe it's real. Freemasonry, on the other hand, is very real and has been around for centuries. Unlike the Illuminati's brief run or the Priory's fictional existence, Freemasonry traces back to the late 16th or early 17th century, evolving from guilds of stonemasons who built Europe's grand cathedrals. The first Grand Lodge formed in London in 1717, formalizing what had been loose networks of craftsmen into an organized society. What do Freemasons actually believe? They emphasize a supreme being they call the Great Architect of the Universe, moral integrity, personal growth, and universal brotherhood. Members meet in local lodges where they perform symbolic rituals, discuss philosophy, and organize charitable work. The secrecy isn't about world domination. It's about preserving traditions and creating a space for self-improvement away from public scrutiny. Millions of Freemasons exist worldwide today, mostly regular people committed to charity and community service. But the elaborate rituals and secretive nature have spawned endless conspiracy theories. People assume hidden ceremonies must mean hidden agendas. In reality, Freemasonry's symbolism focuses on moral lessons conveyed through allegory, not schemes to control governments. The gap between perception and reality here is enormous. Then there's the Thule Society, which actually did influence history in the worst possible way. Founded in 1918 in post-World War I Germany, this wasn't just another occult club. Named after a mythical northern land believed to be the ancient Aryan homeland, the society blended esoteric mysticism with extreme nationalism and racism. Members were convinced they were preserving a pure bloodline and spent their time studying Germanic folklore, Nordic mythology, and occult practices they believed would restore Germany's glory. The Thule Society became a breeding ground for Nazi ideology. Rudolf Hess, who later became Hitler's deputy, was connected to the group. Their obsession with Aryan superiority and their political agitation helped create the intellectual foundation for some of the 20th century's darkest chapters. Unlike the Illuminati's rational enlightenment goals or Freemasonry's focus on self-improvement, the Thule Society's beliefs were dangerous from the start. They disbanded in the early 1920s, but their influence had already spread like poison through German nationalist movements. What's fascinating is how different these societies actually were from each other, yet they all get lumped together in popular imagination as shadowy groups controlling everything. Some promoted reason, others peddled fantasy. One helped inspire genocide. The reality is far more complex than any single conspiracy theory could capture, and we're just getting started. The Rosacrucians took a completely different path. This mystical movement surfaced in the early 17th century through anonymous manifestos describing a secret brotherhood founded by Christian Rosenkreuz. According to their legend, Rosenkreuz traveled the Middle East and North Africa, collecting hidden wisdom before establishing an order to preserve it. Whether he actually existed remains debatable. What matters is what the Rosacrucians represented: a blend of alchemy, astrology, and spiritual enlightenment, aimed at discovering universal truth beyond any single religion. They operated through private gatherings and symbolic writings, avoiding the political entanglements that destroyed other groups. Today, organizations like the ancient mystical order Rosacrucis claim to continue these traditions, focusing on mysticism and spiritual science. They're still around, still secretive, still studying the same esoteric knowledge their predecessors pursued 400 years ago. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn went even deeper into occult territory. Founded in London in 1887 by 3 Freemasons, this society became one of the most influential forces in Western occultism. Members studied Hermeticism, Kabbalah, astrology, alchemy, tarot, and geomancy, progressing through grades that represented increasingly advanced mystical knowledge. Their rituals were elaborate, designed to connect practitioners with divine forces and transform both material and spiritual reality. The Golden Dawn attracted serious students of magic, including Aleister Crowley and Israel Regardie, who later became legendary figures in occult circles. Internal conflicts eventually tore the original order apart in the early 20th century, but its teachings spread far beyond its brief existence. Modern magical traditions still draw heavily from Golden Dawn practices, making it arguably more influential after its collapse than during its active years. But here's where things get dark again. The Order of the Solar Temple shows what happens when apocalyptic beliefs meet charismatic leadership. Joseph Di Mambro and Luc Jouret founded this cult in 1984, mixing Christian mysticism, New Age philosophy, and conspiracy theories into a toxic blend. They claim to continue the Knights Templar tradition while preparing followers for the end of the world. Their vision included surviving an apocalypse and achieving spiritual rebirth on a planet orbiting Sirius. Members paid massive financial contributions and participated in lavish ceremonies borrowing from Freemasonry and occult symbolism. The leaders convinced their followers that death wasn't an ending but a transition to higher existence. Between 1994 and 1997, 74 people died in mass suicides and murders across Switzerland, Canada, and France. Di Mambro and Jouret died alongside their followers in what they framed as spiritual ascension. Investigators later revealed these were orchestrated killings disguised as voluntary departures. The Solar Temple's legacy serves as a brutal reminder that secrecy combined with apocalyptic thinking and unquestioned authority creates conditions for tragedy. Finally, there's Skull and Bones, possibly the most powerful secret society still operating today. Founded at Yale University in 1832 by William Huntington Russell and Alphonso Taft, this group admits exactly 15 new members each year, selecting Yale seniors viewed as future leaders. The exclusivity alone generates mystique, but it's the alumni roster that fuels conspiracy theories. Multiple U.S. presidents, senators, Supreme Court justices, and corporate executives have been Bones men. They meet in a windowless building called the Tomb, where rituals reportedly involve strange oaths and symbolic ceremonies that remain closely guarded secrets. Does Skull and Bones actually control global institutions? Probably not. But when a single organization consistently produces individuals who reach the highest levels of American power, people naturally wonder what happens inside those walls. The society's influence might be overstated, yet it's undeniable that being selected as a bonesman opens doors most people never even see. What connects all these groups isn't conspiracy or coordination. It's human nature. We create exclusive communities, develop private rituals, and sometimes convince ourselves we possess special knowledge or destiny. Some societies pursue enlightenment through reason. Others seek mystical truth through esoteric study. A few descend into dangerous delusion. The Illuminati wanted to spread rational thought but lasted less than a decade. The Priory of Sion never existed outside one man's imagination. Freemasonry built a global network focused on charity and self-improvement. The Thule Society helped poison an entire nation. The Solar Temple ended in mass death. Skull and Bones continues producing America's elite. Each story reveals something different about what happens when people gather in secret, whether they're pursuing noble goals, harmless traditions, or destructive fantasies. The real question isn't whether secret societies control the world. It's why we're so convinced they must. Understanding secret societies means accepting uncomfortable truths. Most conspiracy theories are wrong. Some groups caused real harm, and others never existed at all. The world isn't controlled by shadowy organizations. It's shaped by regular people who sometimes gather behind closed doors for reasons ranging from noble to catastrophic. Now you know the difference.